All right, welcome back to the GD Movie Show, Part 3. We're in our third volume here.
We've done 3 of these already? Well, we've done 2 of these. We're about to do our third.
Oh, yeah, this is our third one. I can't get ahead of myself.
Yeah.
Our special Thanksgiving episode.
Yeah.
I'm your buddy, GD Marcus, and with me, as always...
Miguel, the movie amigo.
Hola, Miguel. ¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien, you too?
Miguel, you've been studying Espanol, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
For years now. I've got 10 words down.
Well, I know your girl is a native speaker, but you should have had some practice.
I should have. I keep telling her I'm going to learn more so we can communicate in Espanol, and I just don't learn so good.
More? All right, Ghostbusters. Let's watch the Ghostbusters, since that's the big release for the week.
Ghostbusters Afterlife.
That's right, the brand new one.
I remember Revelations.
Hey, this was in the first movie,
And I looked
the reading of the
as he
scripture.
opened the sixth seal.
Remember when Ray and Winston were driving?
And then
There was a great earthquake.
and Ray evidently
Judgment
quoted the wrong
Day.
scripture.
Did he really?
Yeah. Revelation 7:13. And he
Oops.
said, or it's 6:13, and he said it was 7:13. So we got a tattoo on his arm to fix it.
Hasn't been a ghost sighting in 30 years.
All right, so we got the cute little Stay Puft Marshmallow Man guys. They're adorable.
They were fun. I'm glad that they were limited to that one little scene.
What is happening here?
I'm glad there wasn't a heck of a lot of Muncher.
Yeah, Muncher, not Slimer.
Who
This
was
one's Muncher.
voiced by Josh Gad.
Yeah, I saw that. Now that scene was cool. They're driving around shooting at ghosts.
Have you missed this?
The car has a gunner seat now. It's kind of
Really
interesting.
good movie. I thought that was tough. So yeah, there's the short clip, since we talked about it last week kind of extensively. But now that we've both seen it,
Well, I have some thoughts.
tell us. I want to hear your thoughts.
So it's been 40 years since the first one.
I get
Almost
the
40
feeling
years.
I liked it more than you did.
I have a hunch you did. Well, so I enjoyed the first, say, 2/3 of the movie. I was with it. I was liking it. It's not a comedy. It's more of a kid's adventure movie.
It's an adventure movie.
Yeah.
With comedy in it.
Yeah, which the first movie was a comedy.
Yeah.
I mean, it was more about the comedy
Yeah.
than the
Right.
action adventure.
But I mean,
but that's fine.
When Bill, Harold, and Dan are in charge, it's obviously going to be a comedy. Without them, you're just hoping that it's going to be a little funny.
Well, they made a comedy because those guys coming off National Lampoon and Saturday Night Live, that's what they were
How can
doing.
they not be
Stripes
funny?
and other things. Animal House, they weren't in that, but Harold Ramis.
Yeah.
This is a good little adventure. You've got Callie and her 2 kids, and they're
Callie's the mom.
Callie's the mom, and we're not supposed to know who her dad is, but the marketing has spoiled it.
Yeah, you can.
So we know it's Egon.
It's fairly obvious. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's Egon. So she leaves New York because they can't afford their apartment. So she goes to take over this house that Egon left her in Oklahoma, middle of nowhere.
Right. No, they were in Chicago, I think, and they left, and then they went to New York, didn't they?
Oh, was it Chicago?
Yeah,
Okay.
the plate said Illinois, and I thought I saw the Sears Tower in the opening shot. But anyway,
Yeah, either way, they didn't establish it too well. It's like they're in their apartment, they leave,
and then
they're in
they were
Oklahoma.
done, yeah.
But then you've got the 2 kids, Trevor and 12-year-old Phoebe, McKenna
Oh,
Grace.
you're so good.
I did my research. I'm prepared for this. So she's a genius, the kid.
Well, he's the obligatory kid that's probably on the autism spectrum. That's
Yeah.
in every movie these days, and they save the day. Which I don't know.
It's cool.
I've got an autistic daughter, so I sort of appreciate the little, hey, we love autism.
Yeah,
autistic
representation
stuff.
is great. It's good.
And they don't go overboard with it, beating you over the head with it. She's just kind of weird, but she's smart.
Although she's a little too much of a genius. She figures everything out.
Oh my gosh. Well, she has a little help from beyond.
I was with this movie for about the first 2/3 of it, and then there's a point where it turns into just nostalgia, just trying to recreate the first movie, almost beat by beat. Everything from the first movie, which is okay if it's going to happen again. They explain in the movie every so many years this thing comes back.
Right.
But I don't know, the finale it turned into this action thing that wasn't that exciting, and it just killed it for me. It was way too much just, hey, look at that. Remember this from that movie? Remember this? Even dumb little things like the Nestle Crunch bar she finds in the glove box.
Right.
Bill Murray handed that to Harold Ramis just as an
earned it.
improv. It's just, you earned it, yeah. All this dumb little stuff. So it's fine they put all these references in, but they tried too hard to do that. And, okay, I wondered going in, we knew we were going to see the original guys because they've been on talk shows.
Sure, yeah.
They gave that away too, which they shouldn't have. It would have been a nice surprise to see them turn up.
Right. We didn't know that all of them would be in there, and so,
Yeah.
and
And so I thought, okay, I hope it's not just like a little 5-minute cameo, like they just show up at the end. I hope they're going to be characters in the movie. Mm-hmm. And so I guess getting into this is a little bit of a spoiler, but I think it's better to know going in they're only in it for 5 minutes. The last 5 minutes.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I expected, is we wouldn't get him a ton. Mm-hmm. And yes, our hero, Egon, shows up in one form or another.
Which I was fine too, a little bit. It was a little too much of that.
I thought there was a little too much of it, but I'm a sucker, and I'm a huge fan, and I've seen this movie a zillion times.
I was too.
I teared up a little bit.
I did too. So when she's shooting the proton pack and his hand comes to help her, it's like, oh, that's awesome. That's cool. Mm-hmm. But then you see too much of the ghost him, and it's like, okay, you're overdoing it.
Right.
I did like seeing the 4 guys standing together, the 3 guys and the ghost. It's like, because he's dead in real life, so it makes it more emotional and impactful, but just too much of it.
Okay, so Mike doesn't have kids. I do. And like I said, I have a daughter that's... So the whole daddy-daughter thing, I'm a sucker for it.
Right.
So
and that was
like
sweet.
That. I loved J.K. Simmons as Evo.
That was cool.
I'm like, that's J.K.?
I know. Because, they mention him in the first movie. He's the guy who built the building, and that's why the building is connected to Gozer and all this.
I'm like, Shandor Mines, I know that name.
And he's going to come back to life, and when he does, it's like, hey, it's J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, I know. Huh?
They should have had him around a little more, make some comic relief.
And Gozer.
That would have been funny.
Olivia Wilde. Who's your favorite Olivia? Olivia Wilde or Olivia Munn?
Olivia Colman.
Oh yeah, from the Queen,
Crown.
The Crown.
Yeah,
She's
hilarious,
but she's not nearly as. But she is hilarious. I watched her on Fleabag.
Oh yeah,
that's where I kind of.
I love her speeches. Every award show, she gives the greatest speeches.
She is.
She's just hilarious and self-depreciating and everything.
You took that in a direction I wasn't. Olivia Newton-John.
I know. Okay, you win the Olivia.
There you go. But yeah, so Olivia Wilde is Gozer.
She looked pretty good. She looked great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you could have. I had to think about. Wait, is that can't be the same? But that looks like Gozer.
Yeah, I mean, you've noticed that the Vince Clorthow. Now, why is it Vince Clorthow is the
Keymaster of Gozer?
The Keymaster.
Zool
is a male, evidently. Zool evidently is a female, because we had that
gatekeeper.
same sort of it was Zool it inhabits the form of a female this time, and remember last time it was Sigourney Weaver. And so then I thought about the whole logistics of Keymaster and Gatekeeper, and I went, oh, male, female. Okay, I guess.
Are you the Keymaster?
Because this time they full on admit that they hooked it up and worked it out.
Yeah.
They didn't admit that last time.
No, they left it up to our imagination.
Yeah, and there's a fun little cameo with that thing. And did you see what? Did you see the second, the very end?
Oh yeah,
post-credit scene.
Two post-credit scene, one mid-credit and one post. You got to watch them both. Those
very,
were
very, very end.
Yeah, and see, those were. It's so funny. You're watching the credits and you see someone's name come up, and you're like, that person wasn't in the movie.
Been in this.
And then right then there's the scene. It's like, okay, more of that. See, I don't need to see the old guys show up with their uniforms and proton packs. I want to see them just being themselves, just being funny, and Pete Venkman being sarcastic and a smartass, and I want to see more of that.
Outtakes would have been fun, huh?
Yeah. But that's why I thought they should have been in the movie more, because they could have had their characters just, they had Ray for like 2 minutes when she calls him on the phone, and
right.
Which is kind of funny. This girl he's never met calls him, says, what happened to the Ghostbusters? And he goes on for 2 minutes telling him the entire history of everything that's happened since the first movie.
Well,
it's like,
exposition.
Okay, yeah, exposition dump. The writing could have been fixed a little more. I mean, Finn Wolfhard has kind of nothing to do. He doesn't have any kind of an arc, really.
But what I appreciated is none of the kids, and I liked all the kids, none of the kids were the dumb kid. You notice how usually there's the dumb kid?
That's true.
And usually it's the Asian tech sidekick who's like a clumsy or whatever, a la Spider-Man.
Data?
Well, the Asian sidekick was a smart kid, and he had his own...
Podcast.
Yeah, podcast. And I'm like, hey.
Why is he named Podcast?
We do that,
yeah. So the kids were resourceful and fun, and it was really cool when they start driving the car and using the gunner seat and using the trap, and they got the trap on wheels that like they control with remote control.
They throw it onto a remote control.
That was cool stuff. That's cool. You're watching that like, why didn't they think of this before? This is, as a kid, as a Ghostbusters fan, it's awesome to see that.
I was waiting for Leslie Jones and Melissa McCarthy because they were my favorite parts of that last movie. Of course, I had a lot of favorite parts of that last movie, but.
Not Chris Hemsworth.
Anyway, I loved it. I'm a Ghostbusters fan. Of course, I had the benefit of you kind of tweaking my expectations.
Just a little. I just warned you a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that was the perfect amount. Because then I went in there thinking, okay, it's not going to blow my mind. And it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But I still had a ton of fun.
It was still fun. I enjoyed it for the most part. I wish they didn't lean so heavily into trying to redo the first movie at the end and hit the nostalgia over and over.
It was a little overboard with that.
Remember this and remember this? Because a lot of it just made me say, I remember that. I kind of want to watch that movie again.
I did. I seriously went back and got home and replayed some clips
Mm-hmm.
of the first one.
Oh, the day after we watched the whole thing, the whole first movie again, just to... And, there are some references that I forgot because I hadn't seen Ghostbusters in a long time. So seeing Afterlife and then the 1984 movie right after, I was like, oh yeah, I see where that comes from. Now I remember that.
Yeah.
So, but there's a lot of questions. If after the movie's over, the more I thought about it, the more I got annoyed by certain little things. Like, they could have answered. I mean, the mom doesn't try to get a job at any point. She's just sitting at home doing nothing. Trying to hook up with Paul Rudd. That's about it.
That was your job, is hooking up with Paul Rudd.
Why did Egon... Now, they explain why Egon went to Oklahoma and what happened. But he couldn't have called or texted his daughter now and then?
Yeah, I don't know. But they also sort of allude to the fact that Egon was probably on the spectrum, too, without saying it.
True.
Which is why there's that bond between Grandpa and...
Which makes... Yeah, that is nice. That's emotional.
And remember, when Podcast tries to hug Phoebe, and Phoebe's like, there's another I'm on the spectrum, give me space sort of thing.
Yeah.
So they did that without beating you over the head with it. So I think that was, like I said, and I just cried my eyes out.
Oh, and here's another nitpick. So we're really supposed to believe that Egon discovers this stuff going on in Oklahoma, and the rest of the Ghostbusters say, no, we don't believe you, you're full of crap.
Yeah.
After everything that's happened and knowing what we know about Ray, he's going to say, no, I think you're full of crap, Egon. You go away.
Yeah. Well, evidently,
story
Bill and Harold had a real life falling out.
Oh, yeah. They didn't like each other for a long time.
Yeah.
They made up right before Harold Ramis
they
died.
buried the hatchet, which is, kind of nice for them and us and everything.
But they tried to make a Ghostbusters 3 for so many years, and Bill Murray was the one saying no, he wouldn't do it. So it's interesting that now he's like, all right, fine. Maybe they said, we're doing it with or without you, and he says, all right, I'll show up for 5 minutes and put the stuff on again. I'm old now. I'm not as bitter anymore.
And of course, they set up the sequel to the sequel.
Yeah, which I'd be interested in that. Now that they've set it up with these characters, I like these characters enough that if they come up with something, it might be worth checking out.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Well, and they make this little joke about Robert De Niro buying up all the real estate in the Tribeca area. And the shop was still available at the very end.
Yeah, that kind of contradicted what they'd said.
So.
Yeah.
But, they set it up in case this does well. They can do another one, I guess, with the kids.
You know what else bugged me? Rick Moranis didn't come back.
Why? Yeah,
they got everybody else.
That was weird.
He just doesn't like to leave New York or something. He won't go to L.A. to film anymore.
I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I heard
he'll do a commercial for cell phones with Ryan Reynolds, but he won't do a 2-minute cameo in
true.
Ghostbusters.
He did show up with that. I heard Janine gave him the herpes, though, and that he doesn't want to come back because that's awkward.
In Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah. She gave him the herpes.
I was glad she looked normal again, because remember in Ghostbusters 2 where she looks like the cartoon character?
Man.
She's into Rick Moranis instead of Harold Ramis.
Yeah.
So, you kind of have to forget about that part of Ghostbusters 2.
And you get to see Egon's collection of spores, molds, and fungi.
Of course.
Which is fine. Which was so... I don't know. It didn't really matter, did it? But you get to see it because it was exactly exciting. I give it a B+.
I'm a B-. I didn't hate it. I liked a lot of it. I understand why a lot of people are loving it. Just a lot of little nitpicks that I wish they'd have just fixed a little more. Maybe another rewrite and...
And I wonder if I'd seen it first and given you the kind of the heads up if we'd be opposite, if you'd like it a little more and I would have liked it a little bit less. But
that's true. We need to not talk about these before we both see them.
Maybe not, yeah. So Ghostbusters, if you're a big fan, I say you'll like it anyway.
Everybody's a big fan.
You're not going to think it's the greatest movie ever, but I think you'll like it.
You're going to see it, so go see it and you can let us know what you think in the comments maybe.
It'll be worth seeing. The other movie that we saw, and I know we're a little bbit late to getting around to actually reviewing this is
Last Night in Soho.
Last Night in Soho was strange. I'm trying to pull it up so I can play it here. To give us a little a synopsis of Soho while I find this clip.
Yeah, so it stars Thomasin McKenzie. She was the girl from Jojo Rabbit. And she plays a
She
girl
was so
named
cute
Ellie.
in that. And she was in Old, too.
Yeah, she was an old.
Yeah.
She's pretty good. So she's Ellie. She's a girl from the country who's, I guess she's never been to the big city, but she's been accepted to this fashion college in London. And so she's going there, and her grandma's a little worried about her because she has some stuff going on, maybe some mental issues.
We don't know what they are.
They don't explain
Is
it.
she haunted? Is she mental? Is
Well,
she-
because we see a quick thing. She's looking in the mirror, and she sees her mom's ghost behind her. So her mom's dead. But they don't, and her grandma says something about you see things other people don't.
Right.
So is she just a little
imagining
crazy?
it?
Yeah, or is her mom, does she see dead people?
She ghost.
I see dead people. So she's going to this college, fashion college, and it's interesting because she stays in a room. She rents a room from Ms. Collins, played by Diana Rigg,
Love Diana Rigg.
the late Diana Rigg, who her last film role. Mm-hmm. And so she starts seeing these visions. She'll play a record. She's obsessed with the 60s. She plays music from the 60s, gets in bed, and then she either travels through time or has a vision or a dream or something. She's in the 60s, and she's seeing this girl named Sandy, who's a dancer, a singer. And it's hard to tell. Sometimes it seems like she's watching Sandy. Other times it seems like she is Sandy.
Right.
And it's really cool where the first time it happens, it's like when Sandy's walking, the mirror, you see Ellie.
Right.
And then there's a scene where Sandy's dancing with a guy, and every time she leaves the frame, a different actress.
Did you see the
they
little
swap.
behind the scenes on how they did that?
I did not.
That was for real. So they choreographed that whole thing.
It
So,
looks amazing.
Yeah, as they do the Texas Switch is what it's called. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, the Texas Switch when
It just goes out of frame and the other one comes in.
And then the other thing, usually they do it with stuntmen, but
Yeah.
they did it with these two girls. And I watched them shoot this, and it was really well choreographed. Just one would duck and one would pop up.
That would be-
the camera's going to go behind, or something's going to go in front of the camera, and then one of them shoots in. Very cool.
I would love to see that. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
So it really looks cool when this happens.
So let me play a little bit of the last night in Soho for you here. It's just a shorter clip, so since we've talked about it. Yeah, at first I wasn't sure.
I had a dream.
I wasn't sure what time it was set in.
Yeah.
And then you see a car and you go, oh. Okay.
It's modern times. Then she goes back to the 60s.
And you are?
And you got Matt Smith, Doctor Who.
I can see people.
He's like her manager, who's,
So I'll see you again.
Who has ulterior motives.
yeah, kind of becomes more of a pimp as it goes on. And
It really happened.
What did you see?
I'm always a big fan of Anya, though. She's becoming one of those, I don't know.
yeah,
She's intoxicating.
she does good work. And she's like everywhere now. Queen's Gambit.
Oh, Queen's Gambit was so good.
So this movie starts getting kind of twisted and creepy.
Leaving ghosts.
It goes from,
Save yourself.
I don't know what it is at first, but it becomes more of a horror movie, almost like a murder mystery.
Yeah, it started out with I'm like, oh, is this going to be like a typical kind of Mean Girls sort of thing?
Yeah,
But
because
they-
her roommates are mean girls. They're horrible to her.
Yeah, at the College of Fashion.
Which you feel bad for because she's first night in the big city. She's at her dorm and her roommates are horrible to her, and she's trying to get some sleep, but everyone's partying. She's got to just put her headphones on and try and escape it all.
Yeah, the roommate comes home with some dude and they're knocking boots, and then she tries, but there's a party outside, and and then she gets her own place, and that's when the adventure begins.
Yes.
With Sandy. But yeah, it was kind of scary. It was very cool. There was great music. I didn't really know where it was going to go.
Yeah, you have no idea what's happening because it starts turning more horror-ish and it becomes more creepy, but it's not that way in the beginning. Like, oh, this is kind of a horror movie.
General Zod is in it,
Yeah.
and he made her kneel before him.
Kneel before Zod.
No, she didn't really.
No. Which it's cool to see him. I didn't quite understand who he was because it hints like he seems to know something about her, know who she is.
Yeah.
Did he know her mom?
You know, I bet they cut out a lot of his thing because they kind of threw it in there and then they came back to it, and then it was like, well, you should have developed that a little bit more, and then we would have cared a little bit more about Terrence Stamp. But
It's cool all the 60s references, not just in the movie, but having Terrence Stamp and Diana Rigg, big, British 60s London actors.
Diana Rigg was one of the original Avengers.
I know.
The actual
Before Marvel's
60s
The Avengers.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
She was quite a dish in the 60s.
Yeah, she was. She was also the only woman James Bond ever married.
Oh, that's right.
In On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Yes. So
And, of course, Lady Tyrell in Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. So yeah, she kind of comes in and
Tells
steals the
Cersei.
show. She's awesome, Diana. Right?
Yes, she is.
But yeah,
it was great to see her.
Seeing. So I went and saw those back to back. I saw the one, and then I had like an hour break, and then I saw Soho. And I seriously and I saw it before we went to go see Tate Reich, and I kind of. I like to see which movie sticks with me more as I leave, and really they were both kind of were. I mean, I was thinking about one, and then I'm like, oh, but that Ghostbusters part, but
they're both so different. That song sticks in your head. The soundtrack. See, Edgar Wright really knows how to use music in movies. It's really cool. I mean, even just the opening of the movie where she's dancing through the house with music playing, it's just really cool.
Great
He does that
tunes
well.
in it too. But yeah. By the way, if you don't know who Edgar Wright is,
Shaun of the Dead,
Scott Pilgrim
versus the World.
So I guarantee you've seen some Edgar Wright movies that you like, and this one is going to be on the list of Edgar Wright movies that you like.
Yeah.
So
I did have a similar complaint about this, where I was loving it. I didn't know where it was going. It was really interesting, but then there's a point where it started to get a little too repetitive. These visions she's having happen more and more, and they get more creepy. There's, I don't know, a 20-minute segment where it just gets repetitive, and it's like, all right, give us more, because if it's with a murder mystery, with this type of thing, they need to give you a little more information as you go. They weren't. It was kind of just, we're not getting any more. We're just seeing this over and over. And I was liking the relationship between her and John, the guy in her class that likes her.
Oh, right.
Because that's kind of a sweet little love story, and
He
it
seems
kept
like
getting
a nice,
interrupted.
innocent kid.
Yeah.
Means well.
But it keeps getting interrupted by these visions, and at some point I'm like, okay, give us a break with these visions, and let's just have some time with the characters. And I don't know, I had a lot of questions afterwards, because I don't know if it completely holds up. I mean, I don't want to give too much away. It's not a spoiler to say there's spoilers. I mean, it's a mystery. You know, there's going to be whatever the resolution is going to be a surprise, which that was cool, the way it works out. But she sees somebody get killed, so she's kind of investigating this, like the person got killed in the 60s. But then what we find out kind of contradicts what she saw. So how can she see something happen that didn't really happen? The whole idea is she's seeing things that actually happened in the past. I don't know.
But is she seeing someone's version of it, or is she seeing the energy of it? Because they talked about in the bar that she works in that there's the energy of all these people. So
True.
maybe it's not a memory or a ghost. It's an energy that she picks up.
And I kept wondering, what's the connection between her and this girl? Is she related to her? Is it her mom or grandma? Is it her in a past life? Or is it just because she's...
I sort of thought they would work that in.
Or is it just because she's in the same bedroom where this girl
And I guess
stayed?
that's really all it was.
Yeah.
Is that she... Again, it kind of goes back to she feels energy. When she was in the bar, she saw some sort of presence.
Yeah.
And when she's at home, she sees Mom. When she's in this new house, she sees Sandy. So I think that's just what she does. She picks up the energy, and that's really all it is. But I dug it. I give it a B.
Yeah, I'm about right there with you. It was interesting and original, different. It was fun. Just a couple little nitpicks, but it's enjoyable.
Yeah, if you're an Edgar Wright fan, totally see it, because it's a great show. And if you just want to see something that's a little bit different, a little bit artsy, but very cool.
Yeah.
Last night in Soho. Finished the Squid Game.
Oh yeah.
It's okay. I don't know why people are going nuts for it. I don't think it's that amazing.
It's
I know
not
it's got social commentary but it's pretty good.
You know, when movies about that, like Stephen King had a short story called The Long Walk. It's about a bunch of people they have to walk for hours or days without stopping, and if you stop, you get killed, and the last person going wins this prize. Also makes me think of Battle Royale, a Japanese movie about a bunch of students who are taken to this island. And they put collars on them, and they have to kill each other.
I know about it.
It's really good. So that kind of thing, Hunger Games and those stories about people where they're trying to win a prize, but if you lose, you die. It's a cool idea. I like stories like that. But Squid Games, are they forced to do it?
No, it's because they're poor.
It's because they're poor and they need it's worth it.
Yeah,
to
so
them.
that's the statement. It's like it's the haves and the have-nots, and what are you willing to go through to become a have? And then I think the next one is going to explore how being a have, coming from a have-not and being a have, how that changes you. I think that's where it's going to go. I don't know. It's worth watching, but I just don't think it's the phenomenon that everybody's going nuts about it. But
it's like Tiger King.
One thing that it's not coming out until next summer, but I think we need to talk about it because the major prologue just dropped.
All right.
Is Jurassic Park World Dominion. What is it called? No, it's Jurassic World.
Oh, Jurassic World, the third one.
And yeah, I'm not. It's a 5.5 minute thing. I'm not going to go show you the whole thing, but let's just pick it up from. So yeah, the prologue. You can watch the whole thing. Like the first half of it is dinosaurs from 65 million years ago, and then it picks up here in present days, and dinosaurs are running amok in our world.
And they're going to go stomp the drive-in and
So
eat some people.
People are watching their flicks, and all of a sudden, boom, 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 out go the lights. There's Mr.
The T-Rex, yeah, we like the T-Rex. So hopefully this will be the Jurassic World we've been waiting for. Because the first, I didn't like either of the first two that much.
They were okay.
They were fine. But nothing can capture the magic of the first Jurassic Park. It was just...
Yeah.
So we got Chris Pratt again? Is he going to show up here?
I don't know. I didn't look to see who's in it.
Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard. She going to run in her high heels again?
She's going to be in this one too.
I remember that was a big thing when the first Jurassic World came out. Like, it was written by a man, directed by a man, because every woman, if she wears high heels, she keeps some regular sneakers or something like that in the desk drawer.
Yeah. She actually did sprint, literally did sprint in those high heels, so it's kind of impressive.
It is.
I could probably not get 10 feet.
Oh, yeah. I'd be on my ass.
Of course, I only have 1 foot, so...
That's a good point.
All right. So yeah, that Jurassic World Dominion comes out next summer. So anyway,
We can start looking forward to that. It's nice to have a big event movie to look forward to.
Yeah, and so the trailer was kind of cool. I wanted to talk about it because it just, like I said, barely dropped. And you got the first 5 minutes you can see on YouTube.
That's cool.
What else we got coming up?
House of Gucci is coming out this
That
weekend.
comes out this week with
Al Pacino, Lady Gaga,
and
Adam Driver.
And yeah, it's a star-studded cast.
Ridley Scott directing. So that will be interesting to watch. We also got Encanto.
It looks like it's a sequel to
Coco?
Coco.
Yeah,
I don't think
kinda
it is,
same
though,
feel.
but it has the definite feel.
Yeah, it's Latino feel. It's musical. It's a girl who's like the only one in her family who doesn't have magical powers or something.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, I think so. Well, we'll see it and we'll figure that out.
I'm assuming I'll cry my eyes out for that one. So
Probably will.
Resident Evil comes out this weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll see that.
Wasn't the last one
Is
called
it
The Final
getting any
Chapter?
good? So, it's one of those things. It's always
Every time a horror movie is called The Final Chapter, there's going to be one more.
It's like when a band goes on its final tour. I saw the
Retirement
Kiss,
Sucks Part 1.
I saw the Kiss last tour in '96.
Yeah.
And they came through, or they're coming through again next year.
How many times has Ozzy retired?
Yeah.
Cher, that's...
Yeah, so of course there's that. I don't know if it's worth seeing.
There's a movie called Licorice Pizza, which is the new Paul Thomas Anderson movie.
Starring the girl
Bradley
from
Cooper.
Haim.
Oh.
I can't remember her one of the Haim girls.
Yeah.
From the band.
Oh, yes.
And Bradley Cooper. That looks like a fun movie.
Yeah, well, and Paul Thomas Anderson, his movies are always interesting.
Right.
There Will Be Blood,
Right,
Boogie Nights,
right.
The Master. They're usually heavy movies.
Right.
They're not just, something you watch in the background on Netflix.
No,
They're-
I'm sure there's some sort of ugliness that's underneath that. But it looks interesting with the Haim girl in it.
Yeah.
And then you saw King Richard.
No, I have not watched King Richard yet, but I
so
will.
Go watch King Richard.
See if
before
Will
next
Smith's going to
time.
get his Academy Award this time.
Maybe. He doesn't have one yet, huh?
No, and he wants one.
I think he should have gotten one for...
Bad Boys 3. Bad Boys for Life.
for all. I think the collective works of the Bad Boys is...
That's my pick.
No, the one where he's happy.
The Pursuit of Happiness.
The Pursuit of Happiness.
Yeah, where he's living with his son. They're homeless and living in the
that
bathroom
one
or something.
still sticks to me. Mm-hmm. That whole. When they're in the bathroom and someone's banging on the door to come in and he's just wanting to be safe with his son, that just tore me up.
Yeah, you
watch
feel for
Pursuit
him.
of Happiness if this movie isn't good.
Yeah, if you want to cry a little
But
bit.
it probably is. Other than that, yeah. So that's what's coming up, and then of course we'll have a lot of movies coming out during December to talk about. So, but yeah, Ghostbusters, check it out. Go see Last
Night in Soho. It's not playing in very many theaters now. It's already it wasn't a big hit, so it's leaving theaters.
And
So you
that might
gotta,
be gone in a week or two, so go see it now. Or otherwise, you got to rent it for $20, and
yeah, you can find it online.
it's kind of a lot right now. When it gets down to 10, then rent it. But I don't know that I'd rent
Or
it for $20.
$3.99.
So
Yeah.
and remember to like and subscribe. That's the third GD movie show.
And leave your comments. Let us know what you thought. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think I'm a little more right than Marcus?
If you have questions, feel free to ask us, or if you have requests of older films that you'd like us to revisit, we're happy to do it. Let us know what you want to watch. All right, thanks. Have a great Thanksgiving. See you next week here on the GD Movie Show.
See ya.